Hello, everyone. It's Julie Naismith here with a live stream talking about why is there so much shame associated with having a dog with separation anxiety. Now, you might be watching this thinking, yeah, my dog's got separation anxiety, but I don't feel any shame. But I think a ton of us do. And I'll say I definitely did when my dog had separation anxiety. So earlier today, I was scrolling through on my phone like you do while you're having your cup of tea and breakfast, and I saw this post in my free group. If you're not in my free Facebook group, make sure that you are. If you're in my free Facebook group, hello, pop in the comments and say hi to me. But I started this discussion about the emotional toll of having a dog with separation anxiety. Tons and tons of comments in there that I'm definitely going to come back to themes that came up in the comments. I'm definitely coming back to those. But one thing really stuck out, and a few people had talked about the shame of having a dog with separation anxiety. And it broke my heart. It broke my heart because I remembered how that felt. But more than that, it broke my heart because I know that's how many of you feel. And it's just not fair. So I thought, there's no time like the present. Let's jump on a live stream and chat to you about why if you are feeling even a tiny bit of shame about your dog's separation anxiety, you don't have to. So if you are watching me live, pop in the comments and say hello to me. I'm just going to do a couple of things, click a couple of buttons so that I can see. Let me pop in there. So yeah, if you're watching on Facebook, say hi to me on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, welcome if you're watching on YouTube. Also, if you're in my Separation Anxiety Heroes group, jump in the comments and wave hello or say hello. All right, so before we start, really important question that I start all my live streams with. Tell me where in the world you are and whether you're watching with your dog. Chances are you probably are watching with your dog, which is absolutely fine. Suzanne's on. Hi, Suzanne. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, so the agenda for today. First of all, I want to talk to you about why it's really important that you know that you shouldn't feel shame about your dog. I'm going to talk about your dog's condition or anything to do with your dog, actually, but let's focus on separation anxiety for today. And then I want to talk to you about some tips for feeling less ashamed. If you are feeling ashamed, let's crack that and let's stop you feeling that way. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Anna. Okay, so, and I got my notes here, so I'm all prepared because I like to be prepared when I'm chatting to you. Right, let's start off with why you have absolutely no need to feel ashamed of your dog's condition. The big one, number one, is because you didn't cause it, right? So if you're feeling bad that somehow you've done something wrong and you've ended up with a dog that you can't leave, let's just stop that thought now, okay? Because that's just a really unhelpful thought. It's not true. And it's that little voice inside your head that holds you back, that holds all of us back, right? And makes you feel bad about something that actually you just really want to be focused on. So you didn't cause it. And if anybody's told you that you caused it, can you please just check their credentials? Because I guarantee you that no one who really understands separation anxiety, so no trainer or behavior consultant who has an expertise in separation anxiety, will tell you that you caused your dog separation anxiety. In fact, massive red flag. If you're working with a so-called professional who tells you that you caused your dog separation anxiety, stop working with them right now, because I promise you, they don't understand separation anxiety if they are saying it to you. I mean, it's bad enough friends and family saying that, but even worse when a professional tells you that you caused your dog's separation anxiety, right? So nipping that in the bud, you didn't cause your dog's separation anxiety. Therefore, don't feel ashamed that your dog has ended up with this condition. It is what it is. Dogs develop separation anxiety for a whole host of reasons. It can be many factors, but it's not because of you. And linked to that, number two is, it could happen to anyone. It could happen to any guardian, any caretaker, and it could happen to any dog. In fact, it's really interesting because I know that many of you say, I've had 3 dogs, or I've had 4 dogs, or I've had 10 dogs in my life, and this is the first time I've had a dog with separation anxiety, right? So lots of people have dogs and don't do anything proactive to make their dog feel okay with being left, but they don't end up with a dog that has separation anxiety. So to a degree, you got unlucky, although I'm sure your dog is absolutely adorable. There's nothing unlucky about having the gorgeous dog that you have. The unlucky thing is having a dog that you can't leave. All those people who are really smug because I never had to do any training. I never had to kennel train, crate train, do home alone training. I could just leave my dog. Hands up if you've heard those comments before. We didn't have to do anything and our dog was fine. Yeah, hands up. Tell me, have you heard that comment before? Yeah, absolutely. Of course you have. So if you find that people are saying that to you, it's because they've never had a dog with separation anxiety yet. They haven't yet had a dog with separation anxiety. But the chances are that one day they might. But right now, they make you feel ashamed because you think it must be me because they don't have a dog with separation anxiety, but it could happen to them. All right, so that's the second reason why we feel ashamed, because it seems like everybody else's dog is fine. Then number 3, another big reason why we can end up feeling ashamed is that judgment. So all those people who are saying, my dog doesn't have separation anxiety, not only are they just making that statement, which is loaded with judgment as it is, they then go on to assess what we're doing. So have you tried this? And what about that? And well, I read somewhere that this, or I saw a video about that. Have you tried that? And here's the worst thing. We were just chatting about this in my free group. So again, if you're not in the free group, I encourage you to be in there. Or if you're in my Separation Anxiety Heroes membership, well, you know, we chat about this stuff all the time in there. But one of the things that really stuck out for me in the post that was in there today, one of the many things, was this word still. The word still. If you have a dog with any problem behavior, not just separation anxiety, you will hear that word still an awful lot. Oh, so you still can't leave your dog. Oh, so you still can't take your dog to the dog park. Oh, so you still can't let your dog off in the woods because of the squirrels. Still. Oh my goodness, the judgment that comes with that 5-letter word still. Who here can relate to that when somebody says about your dog, oh, you're not still, fill in the blanks, right? It basically means that you're not good enough. I think you should be doing a better job. How come you're working at this when actually, you know, isn't it about time your dog was over this? What a word. Hang on, let me just get my notes back up again. There we go. So, you're doing all you can. So don't let people make you feel ashamed. I know that's easier said than done. Number 4, the reason sometimes that we can feel ashamed is that we put all of our efforts into this recovery, but we don't always see results. And I know firsthand, well, me personally, but also from all of my fabulous clients, I know that can sometimes make us feel like we're not good enough, that, you know, somehow we're doing this wrong. Somehow we should have a dog who's over this. But you are doing all you can, and that's the important thing. So never feel ashamed of, you know, doing the best that you can, because what else can we do? All we can do is do our best. And then we see what happens. We see how well our dog recovers. All right. So you're doing the best you can, and don't judge yourself for what's happening with your dog and their progress in separation anxiety training. And a final reason I think why it's so hard to shake off the shame of having a dog with separation anxiety is, even if you do the right things, which I know so many of you are, and you are doing the right things, trust me, you're doing the gradual training, you're going at your dog's pace, you're being patient, you're not punishing your dogs, you're listening to them and understanding their body language, you're doing the right things. But because the process is slow, that can make us feel like we should be going quicker, right? Again, everybody else thinks that there's a quick fix to separation anxiety. In fact, many of us start out thinking there probably is a quick fix for our dogs until we realize, of course, that there isn't. And so don't let that little voice inside your head tell you that because your dog is working through this and it's not going rapidly, that you're doing it wrong. You're doing it right. Okay, if you told me tomorrow that you've gone from having a dog that you can't leave to one you can leave for 4 hours, I'd be deeply suspicious. Either I don't think your dog had separation anxiety, or I'd worry that you were listening to what everybody else was telling you to do and using methods that weren't actually making your dog feel better about being left. So I think the slowness of the process can make us feel like we aren't up to it, but it's not true. Trauma recovery, because that's what it is, takes a long time, right? Brains don't change overnight, and especially when it comes to difficult, long-lasting emotion, it takes a while to go from a negative place, a negative emotion, to a more positive one. So don't let that make you feel bad about the process. And don't let that still word throw you off. Okay, so what can you do if you're feeling shame? I'm just going to take a break for 1 second, because I also want to say, if you've got any questions about your dog separation anxiety, pop in the comments, and I'm going to come to those when I've gone through the next little bit of this live stream. So any comments about your dog's training, any questions, anything like that, pop in the comments and let me know. And if you are listening to this as a podcast, do know that you can listen to me on Spotify, listen to this episode on Spotify, and you'll be able to ask me questions then. So if you're listening to the recording. If you're watching on replay, same thing. You can ask me questions in the replay. So let me just say a few hellos as well. Hi, Angelina, watching with my Cocker Spaniel Jackson from Manchester. Skippy says, Skippy on vacation, but listening to your magic voice. That's so funny. Hi, Rita. Rita, I love your profile picture. What a gorgeous pup. Shannon says, wow, what a relevant post. We're just talking about the shame. Yeah, my partner feels for not doing the right thing when we first got her. Right. Okay. So that's a classic one. Shannon, I'm just going to put your comment up, because it's like, not only covering my face. So Shannon's doing all the right things, because Shannon's working through the training process with me. But now Shannon, or maybe Shannon, your partner, not you, feels bad because what you didn't do. Yes, I get that. But I don't get it. I'm not agreeing that you did the wrong thing. I get that feeling that we always want to look back, don't we, and say, what if? Could I have done it differently? Could it have been, right? The point is, we are where we are. All you can do is now put your best foot forward. Doesn't matter what's happened in the past. And I bet you did the right things by your dog anyway. So yeah, what an interesting one. Yeah, Cheryl says, my hair still stands up when I hear that word. Yes, you're not still doing this. Oh my goodness. Suzanne is in Northeast England. Tip is right next to me. Yes, of course. In fact, I've got no dogs with me today in the studio, which is unusual. So anyway, any questions you've got about your separation anxiety training, pop in the comments and let me know. All right, so if you're feeling a little bit about your dog's separation anxiety, if it does make you feel a bit ashamed, if you can't bear, excuse me, if you can't bear your friends asking you, how's the training going? Or, what's the situation with your dog's separation anxiety? If you can't bear that question, let's talk about what you can do. By the way, it's fine not to be able to cope with that question, because it's such an unhelpful question. I do think, though, side note, a lot of people in our life are coming from a place of love. They want us to be out there with them. They want us to be the person, whoever that was, that we were before we got our dog. So I think they miss us. Not everyone. I think some people come at this from a really unhelpful place, but lots of people in our lives just miss us, and that's why they want us to have a dog who's doing better. But here's what I want to say to you if you're feeling at all shamed. Number one, you be you. You're brilliant. Honestly, you are brilliant. And I was just saying in my Separation Anxiety Heroes group that if we could ask your dog how they feel about you and your efforts and what you're doing, they would tell you they are so grateful and they love you very much for everything that you do. So just keep being you and keep knowing that you're doing the right thing and sticking with your principles, because you're amazing. And yeah, what more can I say on that one? Number two, really importantly, find people who do fully understand what you're going through. I say this a lot, and it's because it matters a lot. The research shows that when we do particularly difficult things, and we surround ourselves with people who are going through the same thing, we're more likely to stick with it. We're more likely to stay the course. And of course, if we stick with the training, we're more likely to get our dogs over separation anxiety than if we abandon the training. So stick with it and surround yourself with people who truly understand. If that's online, that's online. With most of us with a dog with separation anxiety, we tend not to know a ton of people who've got a dog with separation anxiety. So online is often your best place, which is why I always say, hop in my free Facebook group if you're not there already. Or if you want to work with me, join my membership. But find a group of people who really understand you. If you're lucky to have people in person around you who understand, that's brilliant. Just make sure that those are the people you go to when you're feeling bad about this. Then third thing is, and this is quite a practical thing, but sit down, open up a notebook, or if you just prefer to type, open up a blank page in Word or Google Docs and imagine that you're your dog. Okay, I know that sounds crazy. Let me go on. Imagine that you are your dog and you're writing to you. So your dog's going to write a letter to you. Your dog is going to write a letter of gratitude, telling you how grateful they are for everything that you do. Just sit there for 5 minutes. Don't even really think about it. Don't wordsmith it. Don't try and make it fancy. Just type and write and say all the things that your dog would say to you. Because I can tell you, it will bring a tear to my eye thinking about all the things your dogs would say to you. So it could well bring a tear to your eye. But remember, your dog is so grateful to you because unlike all the trainers on TikTok and all the people who follow the trainers on TikTok or on Facebook or on YouTube, the ones who do horrible things to dogs, the ones who are punishing them, the ones who are not training dogs, not helping change behavior, but are abusing dogs, those dogs would say, I wish my people were like you. They would absolutely give anything to have someone in their life like you. Oh my goodness, I'm getting emotional. Everybody knows me, knows I get too emotional about stuff. But honestly, yeah, you are such a breath of fresh air because you're not doing that. And I promise you, your dog is so grateful for everything that you do. Oh no, it's gone. It's gone. That always makes a difference though, right? Doing that in front of your eyes. Oh my gosh. Okay, so deep breath. And fourth, focus on what you can do. So when the world is, throwing stuff at you, when people are, sticks and stones, when it's hard and when people are saying harsh things or you're feeling judged, just keep focusing on what you can control in the world. You can't always control what people are going to say to you, but you can control what you do. And what you do is you turn up to stuff like this, you focus on the training process, and you just put one foot in front of the other. So whenever, in anything, whenever it gets difficult, whenever stuff gets difficult, and whenever outside forces are making you feel bad, focus on what you can do, one foot in front of another. And take it from me, I'll go back to the start. You have no reason to feel shame about your dog's separation anxiety. You're brilliant, you're amazing, your dog thinks that too, and I think you're amazing for all that you do. So, there you go. Oh, that's all I needed to say. Don't feel shame but in reality, I know you will. So I hope some of these tips are going to help you. All right, let me pop back to the comments. Ollie says, get a little tired of people saying it's because he's a pandemic puppy. Ollie says, it's way bigger and more complex than that. Absolutely, because otherwise, why didn't every dog get separation anxiety, every pandemic puppy? Now, I do think that some puppies and some dogs probably came with we know that dogs come with a propensity to develop certain fears. We just know that. So some dogs can be more prone to certain fears than others, Ollie. And I think you know this as well. So there can be environmental triggers that make things worse. But all that happened then was a dog who was probably going to develop separation anxiety anyway, maybe just developed it quicker, or it was deeper, or it was just more obvious. So otherwise, every dog in that situation, every dog in lockdown or quarantine would have got separation anxiety, and they didn't. But there was something about the ones who did that was most likely triggered by that weird environment that we were all in 2020. Jackie says, success story here. Keep at it, guys. There is hope. Jackie, I have to put that up because that's so inspirational. Yes, thank you for sharing that. It's hard. It is hard in the moment to keep thinking, to keep wanting to try, but it's good to hear success stories. I often say to my membership group, my Separation Anxiety Heroes, do you like the success stories? Because I always worry that you might like the success stories, but does it also make you feel not jealous, but just like, oh, that feels so out of reach. Anyway, the feedback I always get is, yes, we do like hearing them. And yes, it does make us feel a bit like, will we ever get there? But don't stop the success story. So if you have a success story to share, whether it's because you work with me or whether it's just because you followed desensitization, share it widely. Because the more you talk about your success, the less likely people are to resort to methods that they find on YouTube or TikTok that aren't going to help their dog. Lindsay says, I miss them too. No, I get that. That's the other thing, isn't it? It's like, for lots of people, it's not just that everybody misses us. It's like, we'd quite like to be doing those things too. Although, I really love spending time with my dogs. But, I like seeing people too. And I did miss that when Percy wouldn't let us go anywhere. Catherine says, beyond that, the unhelpful comments, there's a lot of, albeit loving comment of, I think it's time you give this up. Oh no, don't take it. Oh, that one really gets to me. Take it back to the shelter. Yeah, it's like we've bought something defective from Best Buy. We bought a washing machine and it doesn't spin properly, so we'll take it back. It's a different deal, right? It's a different deal. Hi, Jasmine. Jasmine says, halfway through your book and hoping we can crack this. 18-month-old cockapoo who we shared with my parents, started getting somewhere back in April when my mum very unexpectedly, oh no, ended up in hospice and passed away after. I'm so sorry, Jasmine. I mean, how hard for all of you. I'm so sorry. My Harley dog moved into a hospice for 4 weeks and was the perfect hospice dog. But she's clearly feeling that she needs to be around people even more. Now trapped with my mum gone and no family to help me, just need to be able to pop to the shots. Jasmine, that is so common. That thing you said last. It's for most of us when we start out, it's not because we're looking to leave our dogs for 6 hours a day. Maybe we want that as a goal, or 4 hours or 3 hours, because we need to do stuff. We need to go to work and we can get a dog walker in at lunchtime, but we can't, at some point we need to have those 2, 3, 4 hours where we can leave our dogs. But when we start, we're not greedy. We just want that tiny little bit of spontaneity, a tiny glimmer of hope that we can do this. So, that's really common. And Jasmine, that is so much for all of you, for you and your dog. And the fact that you're on your own too, I really hope that you reach out to people in the group, even just hang out in the comments and read what everybody else is saying, because I think it's that we're all in it together feeling that you need right now. I'm giving you a big hug through the camera. Suzanne says, I've got a holiday booked in the middle of October. Tip is staying with my brother and sister-in-law, and she stays with them every Sunday. When I cycle all day, she stays other times if I'm shopping. You're a big cyclist then. They are not going to leave her alone. My question is, what should I do when I get back with her training? I'm presuming I need to assess the situation again. I mean, you could do, Suzanne, but also you could just, it's never a bad idea to assume that you might need to start with a lower target duration when you restart. Or if you're on Dora Zabor, start with an earlier step of Dora Zabor. So it's never a bad idea just to say that. You could do another baseline assessment, but baseline assessments by their very nature are always testing our dogs out. An easier way for you and your dog to get back into things is just to say, I'm going to make this such a short duration or such a simple Dora Zabor step that I know my dog's going to be fine. So that's what you can do. Okay, let me go back. Let me see. Have I got all the questions? Yeah. So if you are just to say again, if you're watching on replay, make sure that you pop in the comments and you can ask your question even if you're watching on replay. And if you're listening on Spotify, you'll be able to use the new Q&A feature, which we'll have up and running when you're listening to this on Spotify. Oh, Patty, that's a really good idea. There you go. Patty knows this way better than me. Suzanne, Patty's talking about a concept that we use a lot in my membership group, where we say that if in doubt about what to do for your next training session, think about a time that you would bet £100 or $100 on. Like, I know my dog might be on 5 minutes, but 5 minutes, you might say to yourself, is a good time for my dog, but it's not the most bankable time. The time that I would bet a decent sum of money on might be more like a minute. So that's a really good way to frame it, Suzanne. Thank you, Patty. And your answer to that could be, it's a door as a bore step. So just think about what that bankable time is, and you can start there. And how do you get to that? Well, if you've been taking notes on your training, if you've been seeing the training progression, you can get a sense of it from there. And then if you really, really, really have no idea at all, you can always start with door as a bore. Just start with some simple door as a bore. And if it looks like your dog's no worse than when you went on holiday, you can get back to where you were. Jasmine says, I'm in the UK and I see a lot mentioning medications, but they're not names recognized here. Is there any that you recommend that are available over here? I see a lot online that can be ordered. That's interesting actually, Jasmine, because the generic names are very similar. In fact, no, take that back. The generic names are the same. I think what you might be seeing that's different is kind of the prevalence of use, potentially. So there are, for example, Celagline is often more used in Europe than it is in North America. So when you see people writing about the medication they're on, the dog's on, it can be influenced by where they are, but because a certain medication is more popular in certain parts of the world. But the generic brands are the same, and the big two are the same. The big two. And if you are not sure what the big two are, I won't mention it because Facebook gets really weird sometimes about, maybe YouTube as well, about talking about prescription medication. But the big two, one begins with an F and one begins with a C, and you'll see people mentioning those a lot. And also the situation on whether you can find a vet who can help can be quite mixed, and that vet doesn't vary by country. I see it happening in every country. Some vets are very au fait and very happy to talk about vet behavioral medication and won't send you to a vet behaviorist, but some would prefer that you do. So you've got choices there. You've got choices. The planner. Oh, that's great, Suzanne. So yeah, if you've got the planner, just flick back through your plans, flick back through your notes and say to yourself, because often the last time that we did was the best time that our dog did. Not always, because dogs go up and down, but sometimes it could be that last time was a personal best, which by nature is a bit of a stretch. So you might want to look at that and go, yeah, maybe it's 3 minutes. Maybe it's even 2. It sounds to me though, Suzanne, that like you might be able to start on departures rather than door as a bore. And you could do something as quick and easy as a minute and just see how you get on. Just 1 second, everyone. I am going to sneeze, I think. Sneeze off camera. It wasn't really off camera, was it? Kind of. Okay, we're good. Hi, Lonnie. Lonnie says, I'm currently doing a med switch, so my pup is definitely off. Do you suggest I wait to start the training until he has settled? I have stopped training in all absences. Yeah, so normally when a dog is, so this is for everybody really, when you start a dog on medication, I don't tend to say wait until the medication kicks in, because you can experience what Lonnie's experiencing, where sometimes you have to try different medications in different combinations. So then I would say to anybody, just start and work on the medication at the same time. The only time I would ever say don't start training if you're putting a dog on medication the only time I would say don't start training is if your dog really has no starting point. If your dog gets so freaked out, even with the most simple door is a bore steps, then often we do want to wait for medication to work. With you, Lonnie, you could actually do it either way. You could make it so easy, and I don't know what your pup was on before, but you could make it so easy that you're still doing something. Could be door is a bore, could be a really short duration if you were on longer durations before, but you definitely want to make it so easy peasy that it's just not taxing at all. Or you could wait. So for you, I think there's a choice, and neither would be wrong. Remember that, if we're doing the training and it's not stressing them, we're doing it right. So it doesn't matter what the time is or whether the medications are on board yet. If we're doing the training and it's not stressing them, then those quality sessions are helping us. Okay, let me just go back. Okay. Good. All right. Well, listen, everybody, thank you all so much for joining me for this little impromptu live podcast. I've really appreciated you joining me today. Almost guaranteed, by the way, when I say this, somebody pops in with another question. But I will continue saying, no, Suzanne's there. Let me finish with Suzanne. Yes. Yeah, brilliant, Suzanne. I would agree. Suzanne says, I'm going back to 1 or 2 minutes, then I'm going to go back up again. Yes. I think that's a great plan. Oh, you're welcome, Catherine. I'm so glad that you could join me. And thanks to everybody else who joined. And look out for another live session from me coming your way soon. Meanwhile, you know where to find me. I'm on Facebook. I'm on YouTube. If you want to work with me, join my Separation Anxiety Heroes group. If you just want to work on your own, don't forget you've got my books and the planners. And make sure that you're in my free Facebook group, those of you who aren't in my Heroes group. I will catch you all online soon. Bye for now, everyone.